ओम नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. Dear Professor Sudhir K. Jain, Director of IIT Gandhinagar, other respected professors, dignitaries listening to this program, and my dear young friends. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this beautiful event on this great day, Swami Vivekananda's birthday, 12 January, with Sastrarth Socratic Society jointly with Think India. This program has been organized, and I'm thankful to them for giving me this opportunity. Of course, it was difficult for me at the in the initial stages. I was a little hesitant because I was afraid our program may be extended beyond limit. Our program was national webinar 4 to 6 p.m. And Prime Minister sent his message. Kiran Bedi was with us live, and 6 achievers were with us. They all spoke very well. And then Mr. Pratap Sarangi also gave his message. So it went on as I expected. It went on. It just finished at 6:45 p.m. so that I could join here at 7 p.m. Slightly delayed. Anyway, I'm thankful to all of you for giving me this opportunity. Today is a great day. I remember the day 12 January 2006. It was National Youth Day celebration. I wanted that Dr. Kalam, APJ Abdul Kalam, should come on that day. Earlier he had come, that time he was not the president. But when he became the president, I told you must come again to Porbandar. He said, I will love to come because it has two effects. Gandhinagar, that is Mahatma Gandhi's birthplace, and also Swami Vivekananda stayed here for more than 4 months in that Bhojeshwar bungalow, which has been converted into a memorial. So then I said, but you must come on 12 January, which is National Youth Day. Because when the President of India comes, then the newspapers will start telling what is National Youth Day. Many people do not know that 12 January is National Youth Day. But now gradually that awakening is coming. So when Dr. Kalam, he inaugurated Vivekananda Institute of Value Education and Culture, Vivek, on 12 January 2006, National Youth Day, and had a look at the science exhibition that we had. And there was a exhibition on the scientist. And the last was the photograph of Dr. Kalam. And Dr. Kalam was amusingly looking at it, his own photograph. He said, this is the last fellow. And then he started his lecture to about 5,000 youths. He started with this, that how Swami Vivekananda inspired Jamshedji Tata to start Indian Institute of Science. Well, they were traveling together in the same ship from Yokohama to Vancouver by the Empress of India ship. And at that time, Swami Vivekananda said that you are going, you are a trader, you are bringing items from outside, but why don't you start an industry so that there will be employment of people also and we will save money. Second thing he was told was to do something on research. And these were the ideas was liked by Jamshedji Tata. So on 23rd November 1898, Jamshedji Tata wrote to Swami Vivekananda, telling him, I do not know of a person who could be the general of such a campaign for bringing in the scientific ideas in our country. This is how the Indian Institute of Science came up. Later on, Swami Vivekananda told Nivedita, Sister Nivedita, to help that project out. The Britishers were, of course, against it. They wanted only clerks from India and not the scientists. So Dr. Kalam started with Jamshedji Tata when he talked about Swami Vivekananda. And then he said, Swami Vivekananda is not only the great person of only of our country, but of the whole globe. And then he shared some of the thoughts of Swami Vivekananda. So today, when we are here to celebrate the National Youth Day, in 1985, the government of India declared National Youth Day. Why? Because it was the International Youth Year, and a committee was set up to find out what day could be celebrated as National Youth Day. And the committee said the message of Swami Vivekananda is very relevant for the modern youth. And so his birthday, 12 January, should be celebrated as National Youth Day. And that is how, from 1985 onwards, we have been celebrating this National Youth Day. The topic this evening is the message of Swami Vivekananda for the modern youth for a better tomorrow. We all of us want a better tomorrow, naturally. And in fact, Swami Vivekananda told, when he returned from his tour of America and the West, preaching Vedanta there, giving the nectar of Vedanta there, when he came back, he roused the whole nation, which was sleeping due to centuries of slavery. He gave the mantra, Uttisthata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. And the whole country got awakened. So many youngsters, they came forward to bring the independence of India. Swami Vivekananda was not an astrologer, but he was a visionary. He told in 1890s, and whatever he told has come true. In 1897, he said, within 50 years, India shall become independent. But under extraordinary circumstances, without waging a war. No one ever imagined that a country could get independence without war. But it did happen. And in 1947, exactly after 50 years, we got the independence. But what happened after independence? After independence, we forgot the message of Swami Vivekananda, unfortunately. What was his message? Today's birthday, so we must know what Swami Vivekananda would have told us. Once Miss MacLeod, his American disciple, asked him, Swami, how can I serve you? And then Swamiji replied, love India. That is the message for the youth today. Love India. If you want to transform India, if we want to have a transformation in the whole country, we want to have better days ahead, individually as well as the national level, then we have to have a ushering in a new India. And that will come only when we love India. That is the first step. He talked about that patriotism. He said they talk about patriotism, but I know patriotism. Three things are necessary for becoming great. First is feeling. Feel from the heart. Do you feel that the ignorance that has come over the land is a black cloud? Do you feel that the millions of descendants of sages have become next door neighbors to brutes? Do you feel for the ignorance that has come over the land as a black cloud? Does it make you restless? Does it make you sleepless? Has it entered into your blood, coursing through your veins, becoming consonant with your blood? Has it become so, you have become so much restless that you've forgotten your wife, your children, your property, your name, fame, everything? Has it been done? This is the first step to become patriot. But that is not enough. Have you found out a solution to get out of these problems, to get out of the suffering? Have you found out any practical solution? That is the second step. Even that is not enough. Have you got the tremendous willpower to face any struggle, to face the whole world with a sword in your hand, even if the whole world goes against it? Have you got the tremendous willpower to implement whatever you think is the important thing for bringing about revolution, for bringing about reformation? If you are these three things, each one of you will perform miracles. That is what Swami Vivekananda told in Madras, talking about loving India. So what do you mean by love India? Love India is love India. Love India means loving the people of India, loving the poor people of India, serving the people of India. And it is not only the poor people. Poor are only from money, but there are many poor people who have got a lot of money and yet they are poor. Mentally, they are poor. There are many people who are happy, so-called happy, but they are suffering inside. Lot of tension is there inside. Rather than that, those who are poor, they have less problems. They are more happy than these so-called rich people. So poverty is not only of the money, poverty is of the ideas, poverty is of the brain, poverty is of the happiness. That way, a lot of suffering is there. We have to bring about a revolution. And so we have to remember the message of Swami Vivekananda. He said, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. What did we do? We got aroused, we got awakened, and we also fought for independence. We got independence also. But after independence, we forgot the message of Swami Vivekananda of loving the country, of having patriotism, and of serving the nation. We all forgot about it and we became selfish. मैं, मेरी बीबी, मेरा बच्चा, मेरा मकान, देश जाए भाड़ में. Let all go to hell, but I will have my own wealth. This is what came. Now, if we really want a better days ahead, then we have to remember the message of Swami Vivekananda. What is that? Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Do not stop at independence. That was only political independence. Swami Vivekananda said liberty is the first condition of growth. So he wanted independence, political independence. But that is not the end, that is the beginning. But he wanted many more things. What did he say? What did he mean by, he said, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. What is the goal? Goal is not independent India. What is the goal? He said, India shall conquer the whole world by its spirituality. Up India and conquer the whole world. This is still to happen. It is happening. Gradually it is happening. But we have to go a long way. Of course, now the United Nations General Assembly has adopted 21st June as International Yoga Day. It has been declared. It's a very rare thing. Our Honorable Prime Minister of India gave the proposal in the United Nations General Assembly on 25th September 2014. And on 11th of December 2014, the United Nations General Assembly passed the resolution, not with majority, with unanimously. Unanimously passed. Out of 198 countries, 178 countries were present. So you can understand how the other countries, they want yoga, they want meditation, they are going mad after yoga and meditation, not for enlightenment. They are for getting rid of blood pressure, for bypassing the bypass surgery, for getting rid of mental tension, for their stress management. Anyway, but they are coming to yoga and meditation. So what Swami Vivekananda prophesied, that India shall conquer the world by its spirituality, is slowly coming. But before that happens, we have to become self-dependent. Before that happens, we have to become again economically a superpower. Then once we become a developed country, once we have become a superpower, then only we will have credibility to talk to others like a Vishwaguru. So the ideas that are enshrined in our Indian spiritual culture are wonderful. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. They are now talking about globalization. We are talking from thousands of years. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Every day we pray. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kashit dukha bhag bhavet. We do not say let all, we say let all be happy, let all be healthy, let all attain goodness, let none get misery. This is our prayer. We do not say let only Hindus get happiness, let so and so people get happiness, no other people. No, let all be happy, let all be healthy, let all attain goodness, let none become miserable. What a wonderful vision that we had. We were praying for the welfare of the world. It was already a global civilization in India when they did not think about the globalization. Now, because of the communication technology, The whole world has been united as never before, physically at least, but we have to take advantage of that. Since this globalization has come, it is easier now to go for universal brotherhood. It is easier for us to go for a global civilization. And unless until global civilization comes, we will not have global peace. So this global civilization, Swami Vivekananda, the global leader for a global civilization, has given us the blueprint, how it can be done. This can be done by promoting the ideas of universal brotherhood, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and breaking away from fanaticism of any kind and of all types of fears, all types of superstitions, and becoming more scientific in our approach. So he said, what we want now for the modern world is Western science coupled with Vedanta. This combination of these two are going to give us better days ahead. Simple religion, so-called religion, is not going to give us the better days. Simple religion or technology or science and technology and engineering will not lead us to better days. If we think better days does not mean only per capita income, GDP. We are thinking so far the countries were being valued as per the GDP. But Bhutan has shown the way, not GDP, GNH, gross national happiness. A country may have a high standard of living, at the same time, they may have they'll be less happy. There will be many more number of suicides in a country, so-called developed country, though they may be very rich. So our equation H is directly proportional to M is wrong, where H is happiness and M is equal to money. There are many countries having high per capita income with high rates of suicides, high rates of schizophrenic patients, high rates of drug addicts. So if we want better days ahead, what we should have is Western science coupled with Vedanta. And we take care of Indian. Let us not have blind imitation of Western culture. Swami Vivekananda never said that we don't have to learn anything from the other countries. No. He went to America in order to bring science and technology. And that's why he talked to Jamshedji Tata on science only, on starting Science Institute. But what he was against is blind imitation of Western materialistic culture. We have a very super fine spiritual culture, Indian spiritual culture, which can save the whole world from mental tension, from the jaws of death, from suicide, from schizophrenia. We have that culture, that is spiritual culture, which is needed everywhere in the world. And that is the nectar of Vedanta. It is this nectar of Vedanta that Swami Vivekananda took. So we want both Western science coupled with Vedanta. This combination is going to give us better days ahead. So when Swami Vivekananda went to participate in the World's Parliament of Religions, Chicago, 11 September 1893, he delivered his historic speech, as you know. That was also 9/11. But because we did not listen to his message of 9/11 on 1893 properly, and we did not say goodbye to all sorts of fanaticism and persecution, as he had told on that day, there was another 9/11 in 2001, and the Twin Towers broke. The World Trade Center, Twin Towers, they were smashed. They were destroyed. I went 2-3 years back. I saw at New York, still it is ground zero. There is a pool of water. There's nothing of those two towers. Of course, a Millennium Tower is coming up and a museum on 9/11 is coming up. But those towers are gone. So Swamiji had warned it. That's why he said that we say goodbye to fanaticism. And then he stayed on. And then in his lecture on 15th paper on Hinduism, he gave that message. He gave that nectar of Vedanta to the Americans, and because of which they found so much relief. Today, we ourselves need this mental relief, this relief from mental tension, which was done by Swami Vivekananda, which the nectar of Vedanta was given by Swami Vivekananda to the Americans in 1893. We need it today because we are also becoming materialistic. We also are becoming, we are also following, blindly imitating the Western materialistic culture. So Swami Vivekananda said at that time, he quoted from Shweta Shetarupanishad, he said, Shunvantu Vishve Amritasya Putra Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat Tameva Viditvati Mritimeti Nanya Pantha Vidyatayana. I found the ancient one who is beyond all miseries. By knowing him alone, you shall be free from all miseries. And this he told, that you are children of immortal bliss. And then he said, dear sisters and brothers of America, let me call you by this sweet name, Amritasya Putra. Ye, the children of immortal bliss, holy and perfect beings. Ye, divinities are not sinners, it is a sin to call a man so. It is a standing liable on human nature. Come up, O lions, and shake off the delusion that you are sheep. Your soul is immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. You are not matter, you are not bodies. Matter is a servant, not ye the servant of matter. This is the message that Swamiji delivered in that historic parliament of religions that we need today. In order to get away from our mental tension, we must have this nectar of Vedanta. That is, remember our true nature, manifest your divinity within, and you get infinite power, infinite happiness, infinite bliss. You get rid of all tension. How to manifest the divinity? So Swami Vivekananda says in his book on Raj Yoga, each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines, dogmas, rituals, temples, churches, mosques are but secondary details. So these are the 4 yogas that Swami Vivekananda said. By practicing these 4 yogas, we will get happiness and peace in everyday life, and we will get eternal happiness and peace. Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga. So manifesting the divinity within. This is the purpose of life. So Western science coupled with Vedanta, that will give us the better days ahead. And third thing is that we want to build the nation. That cannot take place without the rebuilding of the nation, cannot take place without the character building of the citizens. So we must have career development. Along with that, there must be also character development. I was very happy to learn from the director that you are trying to have this value education, which is of paramount importance. In fact, that is what was discussed by Kiran Bedi just 2 hours back when we had a national webinar, the importance of value education. So career development and character development should go hand in hand. And what do you mean by this character development? Character development means total personality development, physical development of the personality, mental development of the personality, intellectual development of the personality, moral development of the personality, and spiritual development of the personality. How this will come? This will come through 5 virtues. Panchashila. Number 1, self-confidence. Swami Vivekananda said, the old religion said he is an atheist who does not believe in God. The new religion says he is an atheist who does not believe in himself. First, believe in yourself. And he goes to the extent of telling, even if you got faith in 330 millions of gods and goddesses of your country, and if you also got faith in other gods and goddesses that you have imported from the other countries, but if you do not have faith in yourself, you are an atheist. So first have faith in yourself. Faith, 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 faith in ourselves. This is the secret of greatness. This is the secret of success. So first is faith, self-confidence. Third, second, self-reliance. You must depend upon yourself. You are the creator of your own destiny. You can write your own destiny. You are the creator of your own destiny. So try to depend on yourself rather than depending upon fortune tellers. Third, self-knowledge. This self-confidence, self-reliance will come when you know the reality, the nature, true nature of the personality, self-knowledge. I am not the body, I am not the mind. Then who am I? Chidanand Rupa Shivoham Shivam. I am birthless, deathless, ever pure, ever blissful Atman. This particular Atma Vidya, this self-confidence, this self-knowledge will lead us to self-confidence and self-reliance. Fourth is self-control. We have to control our mind if we really want success in any sphere. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the secret of success in trade, in war, in every management of human affairs is the concentration of mind. And Swami Vivekananda also said, if I had to do my education over again, I will not undergo the present system of education. First, I will learn how to control my mind, how to concentrate my mind. Information I can have at my own will. He had so much of concentration, and yet he wanted more information. How much concentration he had? I'll give only two examples. As you know, we have 225 branch centers of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission spread all over the world, apart from 1,000 non-affiliated centers with the headquarters at Belur. So if you go to Belur, which is near Kolkata, by the side of the Ganges, there's a big temple of Sri Ramakrishna. Just behind that, there is a two-storied building. On the first floor, there's a room in which Swami Vivekananda used to stay. And that room has been preserved as it is. His bed, his cot, his clothes, his table, his chair, everything. You feel as if Swamiji is still sitting there. It is in that room on 4th July 1902, he gave up his body in meditation and he went into the infinite. It is in this room that he was sitting one day and he was reading a book. The name of the book is Encyclopedia Britannica. It is at that time his disciple came, Sharachand Chakravarti. He said, oh my God, so many books. It will take whole lifetime to read all these books. So Swami says, what do you say? I have already finished 10 volumes and now I'm reading the 11th volume. 10 volumes within few days. I can't believe. You don't believe? Okay. From first 10 volumes, you ask any question that you want to ask. And Sharad Chakravarti writes in his diary, I asked so many questions and he replied all the questions and correct replies and sometimes quoting the very language of the book. Then he was very much astonished. Then Swami Vivekananda, then he said, this is a miracle. Swamiji said, this is not miracle. This is the power of concentration of mind. If you have concentration of mind, you can do 10 hours study in 1 hour. How to get concentration of mind? C is directly proportional to P, where C is equal to concentration of mind and P is equal to purity of mind. The purer the mind, the greater is the concentration of mind. And greater is the concentration of mind, greater is the success in each and every sphere. So this is the self-control. And then second example, not only in study, in every sphere you will get success. When Swamiji went to America second time, first time he went to Chicago Parliament Religions, and he went to Chicago and came to New York. But that time he had not gone to West Coast. But second time, in 1899, he was again invited for the lectures. At that time, he went to the Western Coast. There in California, there's a beautiful place called Camp Taylor. He was there and he was crossing a small river over a wooden bridge. Now, of course, that has become a concrete bridge. When I went there, it was already concrete bridge. But when Swamiji went, it was a wooden bridge. So Swamiji was crossing that river with that wooden bridge. Suddenly, then at that time, he found 4 cowboys shooting at the eggshells that were floating in water. There was a string of 12 eggshells, not eggs, eggshells, a string of 12 eggshells, and that was floating on water. And they were trying to shoot at their eggshells, and their shots were going in vain. Now, Swamiji observed all this and he started laughing. Now these 4 cowboys became very much annoyed. What? You are laughing at us? Is it a small job to do? Okay, we give you the challenge. Let us see how do you do it. And they handed over the gun to Swamiji. So now what to do? Swamiji took up the gun, aimed at the eggshells, 12 eggshells gone in 12 shots. And these 4 cowboys were amazed. Then they asked, Swami, how long you are practicing? Miracle. That is the power of concentration of mind. So if you have got concentration of mind, then you can perform miracles in your life. So this concentration, and Swami Vivekananda had tremendous power of concentration. The secret of his success is tremendous power of concentration. And that came because of purity. That came because he was practicing meditation right from his childhood. So self-control is a must. And finally comes self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice does not mean that you become a monk or a nun. Of course, you can, if you want, you can become. We are having shortage of monks and nuns, but all need not become, all cannot become monks. But what do you mean by sacrifice? Sacrificing the selfish ego. That is the sacrifice. So Swami Vivekananda wrote a very beautiful, inspiring letter to Maharaj of Mysore. My dear prince, this life is short. The vanities of this world are transient. In this short life, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. You know, at present, these are all dead people. मैं, मेरी बीवी, मेरा बच्चा, मेरा मकान, all are become so selfish. We do not think about the nation. We do not think about the society. We do not think about the other poor people, just living for ourselves. These are all selfish giants that we are becoming. And that is why Swami Vivekananda said, these are all dead people. How to bring life into dead people? Electric shock. And how to get electric shock? That electric shock will come from the books of Swami Vivekananda. These are not my words. Rabindranath Tagore told Roma Rolla, if you want to know India, study Vivekananda. In him, everything is positive, nothing negative. And when Roma Rolla started reading the books, he was so much charmed that he wrote a book on Swami Vivekananda. And there he wrote about the words of Swami Vivekananda. He wrote, his words are great music, phrases in the style of Beethoven. I cannot touch these sayings of his, scattered as they are through the pages at a 30th distance without receiving a thrill through my body like an electric shock. So that electric shock will come from the books of Swami Vivekananda. So I'll request my dear young friends, when you charge the battery of your mobile, simultaneously take up a book of Swami Vivekananda in your hand. By the time the mobile battery gets charged, your mental battery will be charged. Because there is so much of power in those words of Swami Vivekananda. Read the books, at least few pages, at least some time, and you will find the effect. Positive thinking will come, all negativity will go, and that will, with that, when positivity comes, immunity will come, and all those problems will go away. So these are the 5 Panchashilas that I am talking about for total personality development. That is self-confidence, self-reliance, self-knowledge, self-control, and self-sacrifice. And all this total personality development will come through 3 things: IQ, EQ, and SQ. SQ, as you know, spiritual intelligence, is now very much important for long-time happiness, long-time success. Dana Zohar, she is a professor in Oxford University. She's written a beautiful book. The name of the book is SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence, where she says neurologically, physiologically, biologically, psychologically, from every point of view, there is a concluding evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. What is IQ? IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? EQ will tell you how to play the game of life under changed circumstances. And what is SQ? SQ will tell you why to play the game of life. What is the purpose of life? Why we are here on this earth? These questions will be replied by SQ. So it is SQ which we are missing today. In our education system also, we are talking only about IQ, and lately we have started talking about EQ, but still we are not talking about SQ. But now without SQ, you cannot go. Dana Zohar says, we are unfortunately living in a dump. She is a professor in Oxford University. We are unfortunately living in a dumb society where we have forgotten SQ. She gives a beautiful example. By the side of the Mexican coast, there was a management consultant who was sitting there. It was afternoon, and there was a fisherman who was sleeping in the boat. And then the management experts say, hey, what are you doing? Why you're not fishing? It is still afternoon. And that fisherman said in a sleeping posture, sir, you know what happened? In the early morning, I got a big catch, big fish. I sold it. I got enough money, and this is enough for my today's food, and my quota is over, and so I am enjoying. What? Is there any quota system here? You must earn more. But what do I do with the excess money? Well, deposit. Deposit. He never heard the word deposit. Yes, deposit. Open a bank account and deposit. Then go on depositing. When you got enough money, purchase another boat. Then you will get more fishes and more money. But what do I with that money? Again, deposit. Go on increasing the fleet of your boats. Then you will become CEO of a multinational company, move your headquarters from Mexico to New York and expand your business. And naturally, when you've got branches all over the world, you have to fly. And when you're enough of flying, and when you have 3 bypass surgeries and the doctor says no more, then you retire. Sell the company, come to me. I'm an investment expert from Harvard. I will tell you how to invest the money. And every month you'll get fixed income and you will be able to sleep nicely without any tranquilizer. Sir, I am sleeping every day without tranquilizer. Dana Zohar says, this fisherman has got low IQ, doesn't know how to make money. But this management consultant has got high IQ, knows how to make money. But this fisherman has got high SQ. He knows the purpose of life is to have happiness and peace. But this management expert has got low SQ. He doesn't know the purpose of life is happiness and peace. So this SQ is very important. And developing SQ, how it will come? By the combination of 4 yogas, as I have told. So to summarize the whole thing, what I will say is that second aim is very important. If we want to have better days ahead, if we want to see India as a developed country, if we want to see India as Jagat Guru, which was the dream of Swami Vivekananda, in that case, we have to again arise, awake. Again, we have to get aroused. Again, we have to get awakened. No more sleeping again. And go forward till that second thing is achieved. So we have to work hard for that, bringing up the second vision of Swamiji, fulfill the dream of Swami Vivekananda. That is the one thing that we have to do. And along with that, we have to remember that transformation of the nation cannot come place. The rebuilding of the nation cannot take place without the character building of the citizens. So second thing is character building. That is, career development and character development should go in hand. And how this character development take place, I told about total personality development, physical, mental, intellectual, moral, and spiritual development of the personality that will come through 5 things: self-confidence, self-reliance, self-knowledge, self-control, and self-sacrifice. And lastly, I told that we have to develop IQ, EQ, and SQ for total personality development. So the message of Swami Vivekananda for the modern youth is arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. And goal is, in terms of the nation, goal is to become Jagat Guru. In terms of the individual, the goal is to manifest the divinity. How? By combining the 4 yogas in life. Then what happens? Every day we get happiness and peace, and we also get infinite happiness, infinite bliss at the end of the day. So I'm very thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity of meeting you all and sharing my thoughts. Today we offer our humble salutations to Swami Vivekananda on his birthday and tell him that the gift that you want from us is love India. We will love India. We will love the Indian citizens. We will love the poor. We will start serving this in our own humble way. Even if I teach a small child, that is also a great service to nation. Even if I plant a tree, that is also a service to the nation. Even if I serve the aging parents, that is also a national service. So national loving the nation means serving the nation, serving the people of the nation. And that can start from today. On the birthday of Swami Vivekananda, let us tell Swami Vivekananda, yes, we are ready to love India and to do a little bit of service, whatever we can do, at least doing our best. If you are a student, if you are a sincere student, with concentration, if you're studying, that also is service to the nation. If you are a businessman, if you are doing business with ethics or with honesty, that also is service to the nation. In each and every field, without doing extra thing also, by becoming a good karma yogi, we can also serve the society, serve the nation. So I'm very thankful. I pray to Swami Vivekananda, may he shower his blessings on all of us so that we can imbibe his teachings. By reading his books, we can imbibe his teachings and try to implement even a little in our individual life. And that you thereby, through character building, will lead to national rebuilding, leading to the welfare of the whole world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for such an enlightening talk. Thank you for explaining how a true patriotism should be like. You've explained beautifully that poverty is not all about the lack of money. Mental poverty is more problematic. The poverty of thoughts, poverty of happiness is worse. Uh, Thank you for showing us beautiful picture of adaptation of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. Thank you so much. Swamiji, with your kind permission, we have some questions for you from our attendees, if you
Sure,
allow me.
sure. Yours. And you can ask
Huh.
question, no problem.
Okay. We have one question from MD Shahnawaz Alam. He writes, one of my favorite quote of Swamiji's, take up one idea, make that one idea your life, think of it, dream of life, live on that idea, let the brain muscles be full of that idea. This is the way to success. How one should choose such an idea, how choosing such an idea can lead to fulfill the purpose of life, freedom.
Yeah, very good. So that idea choosing depends upon you, but you have to take up one idea. You have to take up the idea that suits you according to your capacity and according to your ambition and according to your circumstances that you are placed in. You have to be pragmatic also in approach. So taking all those into consideration, then take up one idea and then you go ahead. For example, Arunima Sinha. I will give the example. Just now she was with us for 2 hours, our national webinar. So when, as you know, all of you know that story, 11th April 2011, she was going by a train from Lucknow to Delhi. At night, some robbers came and started stealing, robbing everything from all the passengers. But she had a chain which her mother had given her. So she refused to give the chain to the robbers, dacoits, and they became very angry and they threw her out of the running train. And on the parallel track, there was another train that was coming. So she collided with that train and again collided with this train 2-3 times, and then she fell down. And in that process, her left leg was crushed and left leg was gone. And she was lying in a pool of blood between the two tracks. 49 tracks, 49 trains went up and down. And then in the morning, they took her to Bareilly Civil Hospital, and they said that we don't have anesthesia, and this amputation is very much required. Otherwise, gangrene has developed, so she cannot be saved. She said, no. If you don't have anesthesia, okay, without anesthesia, you carry out your operation, amputation, but that will be very painful. She said, I will bear that pain, and she bore that pain. Amputation was done for 1.5 hours. That operation took place, and then she was shifted to AIIMS, Delhi. It is on that bad that she was thinking, and there were a lot of things that were going on against her. Some people were telling that, actually, in order to protect themselves, the UP government said, oh, she was trying to commit suicide. And we do not have any dacoits in UP at all, something like that. And that was very painful for her. Already she was suffering because of the leg pain, and her left leg was already amputated, gone. Right leg, there were rods, and she had a lot of injuries on the whole body. And on the other hand, they were all talking like this. At that time, she took up one idea. Today, the media people is not believing me. Today, the whole world is against me. Nobody is believing my story. Okay. With this left leg gone, with artificial leg on the left side, with rods on the right side, with this condition, I'll go to the Mount Everest, create a world record, and then only these people will listen. This is the one idea she took up. But taking up the idea is not all. She determined for it, and so much determination. She had never done mountaineering. She was a national volleyball champion, but she had never done mountaineering. So as soon as she was given permission to go out of the hospital, she did not go to her home. She went first straight to Jamshedpur. to meet Bachendri Pal, who was the first person to climb Mount Everest, was first woman to climb Mount Everest. So she met her and she told that I want to go to Mount Everest. Bachendri Pal said, what? You are standing with you are not able to stand and you want to go to Mount Everest? Already you achieved Mount Everest mentally. With so much of suffering, you are determined to go, that itself is a very great victory. And then she had to undergo training for 2 years of mountaineering. And then on 21st May 2013, she climbed Mount Everest, really, put the Indian flag on the top, and she became the first female amputee of the world to climb Mount Everest, created world record. Just see, take up one idea. She took up one idea. People said that you are a mad woman. What are you talking? You are not able to walk and you want to go to the top of the Mount Everest? There is no mountain higher than that in the world. You want to go there? But she did not give up the idea. Then, so much of willpower. She applied that willpower. Along with that resilience. Along with that, even that is not enough. She took training. You have to find out how to fulfill that dream. We have to find out how to fulfill that idea. You have to be practical in approach. She took up that training, very hard training for 2 years, not a single holiday within these 2 years. And then she climbed some big mountain, one mountain of 10,000 feet, then second mountain of 20,000 feet. Then she went to Mount Everest and created the world record. Of course, there were a lot of difficulties. She did it on 21st May 2013. On 23rd January 2013, she had come to Baroda. At the time, I was in Baroda. And that time, she had come for delivering some lecture before going to Mount Everest. And she came to Vivekananda Memorial and asked for my blessing. I said, you can get blessing from Swami Vivekananda in the shrine up that is upstairs. But then I gave her a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, Sarada Devi and Swami Vivekananda. I said, whenever you're in distress, just call on them. And then gave her some books of Swami Vivekananda. I told, at least one small book you must take up to the Mount Everest and take this photograph to the Mount Everest and don't bring it back, keep it there. And she followed religiously. And she just now shared her story that photograph became her energy capsule. So just imagine what tremendous faith in herself and tremendous faith in God. Swami Vivekananda said, faith in yourself and faith in God. These two types of faith will take you to your goal. So take up one idea, try to know how to fulfill it. Even if the people are against you, then go on trying for it and achieve the goal. This is what Swami Vivekananda says, that normally what happens, our modern youth, they want to go in 10 directions and cannot go in one direction. They want to dig the well. 10 places they will dig 10 feet, no water. But if you dig at one place, 100 feet, you will get water. This is the idea. Take up one idea and try to preserve it, persevere it, and go along, and you will get success. That is the idea.
Thank you, Swamiji. The faith in ourselves is the answer to all the constraints. So next question is from Ayush. He writes, hello, Swamiji.
Yes.
Hello, I am, there is a question from Ayush.
Yeah.
He writes, hello, Swamiji. According to Swami Vivekananda, youth should practice Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga to attain moksha. But is it possible in real life to practice them? Because I think in daily life, everyone is busy and struggling, also may not be free for yogic practices. Can you enlighten me?
Yeah, very good. But you are asking a hypothetical question. I am telling you practical thing. Already millions of people are now practicing Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga. Already. You are telling whether it is possible? Yes. And they are not living in forest. They are not living in the caves. They are in the society. They are serving. They're employed. They are doing job. Only morning, evening, 15 minutes. That is good for your health also, physical health also, and mental health also. Only made morning and evening 15 minutes meditation, morning, evening 5 minutes of prayer, morning, evening 15 minutes of positive thinking and reading books and bringing this positive thoughts, and do whatever work you are doing with the spirit of worship. That is Karma Yoga. What is their difficulty in that? Already you are spending so much time in internet cheating, chatting, both, go together. So try to reduce that and try to bring those 15 days, 15 minutes every day. Try to do that. You will find the result within 1 or 2 months. You will find your concentration is increasing. Once your concentration increases, you can do 2 hours job in 1 hour. So there is a net profit. There is a net profit. Previously, you are doing no meditation. That time your concentration was X. Now you have started meditation. So your concentration now to double. So what happens? Previously you were studying for 2 hours. Now you have to study 1 hour. 1 hour saving against only 10 minutes of meditation morning, evening. So 20 minutes gone, 60 minutes in. Net profit of 40 minutes by practicing meditation and prayer. So it is possible. It is being done. I am not telling you to go for meditation whole day. Only 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I am not telling you to go for Raj Yoga and go for all the asanas and pranayam and all that. No, just 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of prayer, 5 minutes of inspirational reading, 15 minutes morning, 15 minutes night, half an hour. That's all. Just see what happens. Miracle will happen in your life.
We have another question from Ekansh Somani. He writes, we always talk about religion and spirituality, saying that India can teach spirituality to the world. But isn't it true that spiritual culture in India has degraded over thousands of years, and what is now left is nothing but the remnant of that true culture? Shouldn't we indeed try to rebuild that culture with the help of Shastras, Puranas, and Vedas?
Yeah, that's very true. You know what has happened over a few years? Because we were slaves to the foreign dominion, we have become sort of slaves in our thinking also. So, most important thing we were talking about today evening was transformation of educational system. In our education system, we are lacking these values and also the spiritual culture of India. So because our youngsters do not know Indian spiritual culture and they are not able to discriminate between religion and spirituality. First of all, you must know one person may be high in SQ and still may not be religious. Another person may be highly religious and still lacking in SQ. What is SQ? Spiritual intelligence. So spirituality and religion are poles apart. A person may be religious but not spiritual. A person may be spiritual, not religious. It may happen, but it may happen that both are there. Yes, it may happen also. Not that both are poles apart, but we confuse sometimes one with the other. Religion is only following certain rituals. What I, Swami Vivekananda, say, that is secondary. Spirituality is the basic thing. Spirituality is manifesting the divinity within. Spirituality is practicing meditation, prayer. Spirituality is unselfish service. With this unselfish service, you immediately get peace of mind. So this is spirituality and that is religion. These are different. Sometimes it may be same also. Same, one person may be religious as well as spirituality. That can happen. But many times we find a person is religious, not spiritual. And sometimes we find a person is spiritual, but he doesn't go to temples or he doesn't read books. He is not this one. So what you have said very right, that our youth themselves, first of all, before we before you conquer the whole world by our Indian culture, first of all, our youth has to be conquered. Our youth themselves have become prey to Western materialistic culture. First of all, they have to be conquered. Our youth, Indian youth, must follow Indian spiritual culture, get benefit out of it, and then we can also go out. But this sometimes this is reverse thing happening. Now the Americans are coming and teaching us meditation. Because we like imported thing, imported car, imported meditation. This slavish tendency has to be given up, and we must go for Indian spiritual culture ourselves.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for all your answers.